Here in Toronto, the Rush have already punched their ticket to tomorrow's championship contest. And now there's just one gigantic question that everyone's wondering: who will join the home team in the title game? The San Jose Spiders are the new kids on the block, with an electric offense that led the league. The Madison Radicals made the finals last year and returned to the semis with unfinished business and the league's stingiest defense. Get ready for the first ever showdown between the Spiders and the Radicals. Two great teams fighting for the right to play on Sunday here at the AUDL Championship. They were calling for thunderstorms on this Saturday night in Toronto, but instead the sun's still shining. The second AUDL semifinal, the Madison Radicals taking on the San Jose Spiders. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our broadcast location. Alongside Megan Tormey, I'm Evan Lepler. So great to have you with us. The AUDL on ESPN3 continues, and Megan, so much hype and anticipation for this game. The top defense for Madison, the top offense for San Jose, but very few people are talking about the Madison offense and the San Jose defense. How do you feel about that matchup?
I think that's going to be particularly interesting given how wide and deep the Madison Radical offense is. We've got a lot of people on that team who are just really good and reliable players. So it's going to be hard for the Spiders to match up against them because they have so many people they need to cover intensely. Well,
it's going to be interesting because we learned before the game that at least at the outset, we expect two great players for San Jose, Bo Kittredge and Kurt Gibson, to be playing on the D-line. That's certainly a bit unexpected. Bo has bounced back and forth between the O-line and the D-line throughout the season. Madison with their great defense, their zone that nobody in the league has seen before, and especially San Jose, who's never played them before. How do you think San Jose will react to Madison's zone?
We will see, because they have not had any kind of zone put on them throughout the season. But the people who are really going to be a difference maker in this game, you already mentioned Bo Kittredge, one of the top players in the world. He is all kinds of all-around amazing. He has a track and field background, which is why he's as fast as he is. But then just being a savvy, smart player allows him to go up for discs and come down with them. Another person who makes a very large impact on the Spiders is Ashlyn Joy. His throws can be best described as artistic. It's kind of interesting to see the artillery that he has. He can take a look at the field and decide exactly where he wants to put that disc and then throw up anything to get it there. And then lastly, the person who completes the trifecta of the Spider offense is Kurt Gibson.
And he'll start out on defense, pulling for the Spiders to the Radicals. Tom Annan and Andrew Brown, their two primary handlers. We chatted with Brown at halftime of the first semifinal, and he seemed pretty comfortable. He seemed pretty confident. This Madison team has never been blown out, so a lot of people think that San Jose is going to run through the Radicals. Be very surprised to see that. Andrew Brown marked by Kurt Gibson on this first point. Nathan White chasing down Bill Everhart. Pat Schreiwise is back on the field for Madison. He didn't play last week. And this is Scott Riggles hitting the handler, Andrew Brown, who punctuates the point with a spike.
The Radicals, like the Spiders, have had many opportunities to play together in facets other than the AUDL. So that kind of continuity is going to play to their benefit in this game. But unlike the Spiders, their continuity is not as well recognized or not as well known, which is why people were calling for a blowout, when in actuality, that's not what we anticipate to see.
Thomas Coolidge picks up the hockey assist, and on the handler movement, it looked like Gibson was really trying to deny the dump, and Brown made him pay by going up line and becoming a target. And now the D-line for Madison. Tim DeBile, the coach of the Radicals, has Andrew Meshnick, one of the most talented defensive players in the league, along with Peter Graffi. Mike Swain expected to match up with Bo Kittredge. Those two played a lot together in Alaska when Swain was living there and Kittredge would visit home. Ashland Joy's first touch. And he turns it over on his first throw with Swain chasing down Eli Kearns. Everhart picks up the disc for the Radicals. We saw players slipping and sliding on this surface. It's drizzled on and off over the past few hours. Here's a deep shot looking for Meshnick, and the Radicals lead 2-zip.
That quiet confidence from Andrew Brown you mentioned earlier is looking a little more legitimate right now. They are coming out just cool and collected.
And it's going to be really interesting to watch how the Spiders react, because Tim DeBile, I think most would agree, is one of the most innovative minds, if not the most creative mind on the sidelines in this league. Who's the coach for the Spiders? There's really no answer. Idris Nolan coached them some at the early parts of the season. It's basically been Ashland Joy and Kevin Smith and Bo Kittredge, the leaders, the coaches on the field. I think technically today, Nate Bosher serving the role as coach, in that he's the guy on the sidelines that can call a timeout because he's the 21st guy inactive. But you know, who's watching from the sidelines and sharing strategic points? Now here's the Madison zone for the first time. Scott Roeder handling with Ashland Joy, and they break the cup to Marcelo Sanchez for Simon Higgins. Meshnick nearly laying out for the D. Joy pivots through the double team, wants contact. Weber takes a tumble. Weber got a piece of the swing, but into the hands of Kearns. Matt Weber.
The bearded giant with a huge layout D.
Did you see what I did there? Did San Jose look flustered against that zone?
For the first several points, they looked like they had it well under control. And then the cup tightened up, and it looked like opportunities were closing off for them.
A chance for a 3-zip start. To the end zone, incomplete. A little too much on the backhand flip from Graffi.
Would have been bookends for Matt Weber, no doubt. He's eager to get that back right here, right now on their end zone.
Ashland Joy hasn't seen too many double teams like this, but he gets it through to Simon Higgins. Now to the middle for Tyler Bacon. Roeder for Kearns. No Kittredge, no Gibson on this offensive line for San Jose. Joy again, one of the more dynamic throwers in the game. So many of his revolver teammates, in fact all of them, heading to Italy this week. He's not. The hammer to the end zone finds its intended target, and Mark Albogan gets the Spiders on the board. Could have been 3-zip. Instead, it's 2-1. Just finishing the point on Ashland Joy. He just got into medical school. That starts on Friday, so this is really the ultimate championship for him, because he's not going to Italy with the rest of Revolver next week. Mark Albogan, a key Santa Barbara pickup, along with guys like Michael Keoy, Jeff Silverman, Kevin Smith. There's the D from Weber. He's just a different kind of animal guarding the disc every single throw.
Something interesting about Matt Weber, he got his start in Ultimate playing pickup in a parking lot under the lights. They met every Thursday at 9 p.m. He was just playing with friends he had in Iowa. Then a couple of college kids would stop by the pickup and said to Matt, hey, you've got potential, which is why and how he found his start on the Madison Radicals. He's a different beast from last year to this year. Spent a lot more time on his training during the offseason to become a more agile player, as evidenced by that layout.
That clearly shows. You wonder why I didn't find some grass to play on instead of playing on the parking lot. You live, you learn, I guess.
Well, it was a late evening pickup game, and they needed lights, so.
Annan for Schreiwise and back to the middle. It's Dave Wiseman. He had such a big game in the quarterfinal win over Indy last week. The Radicals beat the Alley Cats by 9. The Spiders beat the Flamethrowers by 10. Both games that were not really in doubt down the stretch. Although Indianapolis gave Madison a really good worry in the second quarter. Here's Riggles, doesn't need a layout for this one. Schreiwise the assist, and it's 3-1 Madison.
Scott Riggles at 6'7", you'd be so excited to have someone his size on your team, but someone with his size and his speed would be absolutely ecstatic. Did you see the closing speed on that play just there?
Yeah, the word on him is, 6'7" guys are supposed to be a little awkward when they run. and he just runs so gracefully and so much faster than you think he would. One of the more impossible covers in the league.
Important to note is that he helped set up that play right there. That was his throw to Dave Wiseman. So in one short pass, he went from midfield into the end zone.
Kittredge coming into the picture, but just chasing 10 yards behind. Joy, Roeder, and Kearns out there with White, Higgins, Elbogen, and I believe Smith. Tyler Bacon rather than Smith, beg your pardon. Man-to-man defense this time from the Radicals. Again, Swain chasing Kearns, who's at midfield. Elbogen shoots one. Sanchez nearby. In and out of his grasp.
Very surprising drop from Sanchez. He is an incredibly talented downfield cutter.
Radicals are going to use their ability to call a timeout and bring the offense onto the field. Clock stops with 6:39 to go here in this first quarter. Here's the deep shot, looking for Sanchez. Pretty decent throw. Perhaps some contact, but Marcelo probably wishes he could have that one back. We'll stay right here as the Radicals offense takes the field. David Schleicher, Andrew Brown, Dave Wiseman, Pat Schreiwise, Scott Riggles. Now this Madison team has really, you compare Madison and San Jose. Which team has practiced more together? It's not even close. San Jose has brought people from all different teams together, and they're unbelievable. They went 13-1. They dominated a really strong San Francisco team, but in terms of hours spent with each other, Madison clearly superior.
And I really feel that the fact that they were in the AUDL last year is to their benefit in this game. Playing on a field that's 13.5 yards wider is a different story altogether. You mentioned earlier how innovative Tim DeBile has been in setting up new defenses, new offenses. That's going to be a little bit hard for the Spiders to adjust to.
Madison isolating Schreiwise, which leads to a poach underneath. It's Brown who is open, guarded now by Gibson. Annan swings and a nice grab for Schreiwise. Again, he needed stitches after laying out onto a rock at Chesapeake. Was unable to play last week. Back out there today. Does seem like San Jose's defense has turned it up a notch in intensity.
Yeah, downfield they're having quite a time getting an open cut to come in.
Try-wise unleashes. Wriggles versus Kittredge. Incomplete. That's a matchup that Ultimate fans would love to watch all night long.
I have a feeling we'll be seeing it a few more times.
Now here's the thing. I'm not sure how much Tim DeBile likes that choice.
Them putting Kittredge on
No,
Riggles?
how much the deep shot from Try-wise into that matchup. I mean, obviously Kittredge, one of the great defenders in the league, but Madison sort of based its success on its patience and its deliberateness offensively.
That's a good point, and sometimes when you've been stuck at the end zone for 5, 6, 7, 8 throws like the Radicals were.
Kittredge at the other end, he scores.
It can lead to dicey, ill-advised throws.
So San Jose turns the field around and gets the break to get back within 1. It's really fascinating because all week long we were expecting wind and rain, and it's basically perfect ultimate conditions right now, and that makes Bo Kittredge so dangerous going deep.
Absolutely, especially because the wind hasn't died down completely, but it's not at a bothersome amount for either team.
Greg Cohen picks up the assist. Wriggles was nearby. And that's Bo's baby. Bo Kittredge turned 32 during the middle of the season. He has no plans to stop playing Ultimate anytime soon.
When you play like he does, why would you?
Deep shot. Kevin Brown into the end zone for Adam Drews. That was largely the Madison D-line playing offense and putting it in quickly.
Which just goes to show again the depth and versatility of these players. I mean, Peter Graffi, the leading goal scorer in the AUDL with a great forehand flick. He's only 23 years old.
One of the big differences between Madison last year and Madison this year, the emergence of Peter Graffi. Played at Luther College alongside Eric Johnson. They helped that Luther team really explode onto the college scene. We're at Varsity Stadium in Toronto. One of these teams will face the Toronto Rush at 1 o'clock tomorrow for the AUDL championship. Push pass looking for Joy. Falls incomplete. On the turnover, Adrian Reef picks up for Madison. Meshnick with a quick flip for Wilson. Everhart back to Wilson. The swing for Everhart. Bacon got away with a poach. Now he's back on his man. Weber drops it in for the score.
Great grab from Seth Meyer on that hammer.
Tyler Bacon defending. Seth Meyer receiving. Big time grab from Meyer.
Great put from Matt Weber too. To be perfectly honest, I don't know that I've ever seen him throw a hammer before. It's nice to know he has that in his repertoire.
Weber known as a bearded giant. You mentioned grew up in Dubuque, Iowa. Kittredge and Gibson both playing offense this point for San Jose. Along with Joy Sanchez, Higgins, Elbogen, and Kearns. The only time the Spiders really all year had to overcome a multiple point deficit was their game against Vancouver at home.
And Vancouver held that lead for quite some time. In fact, they went into the half ahead of the Spiders, I believe, by 3 or 4 points.
Kittredge nearly slipped but recovers. Swain marking, flick forward to Gibson. Bluffs the hammer, still no stall count. Now it's Sanchez. Plays through the bump. Gibson up high. Higgins in the end zone. That's a great illustration of with Joy, Gibson, Kittredge, along. I mean, it's so easy to overlook guys like Simon Higgins and Marcelo Sanchez and Eli Kearns. They're just as valuable on this team.
And they're going to be incredibly impactful in this game as they work to navigate the Radicals' changing defense. I think we've seen them throw equal parts zone and man. That's because the Radicals have 2 D-lines. And so they'll just bounce back and forth between that zone look, between that man look. So it's going to be up to players like Higgins to continue to generate opportunity downfield against a constantly changing terrain.
Now on the D-line, Peterson, Keoy, Silverman. Kittredge will stay out there and play D, along with Thompson and Cohen and Smith. Brown milks that for yardage. Smart play. Nearly a layout D. Silverman fell just short, and now Kittredge pressuring Brown. Forces the turnover. Kittredge looking to the end zone. He wants Greg Cohen. That was an easy break for the Spiders. Now, I thought it was interesting on Ultiworld this past week. Michael Kinslick, one of the owners of the San Francisco Flamethrowers, wrote a column, the 8 ways you need to do, 8 things you need to do to beat the Spiders. And, you know, each one of the points sort of came with a caveat. It's not that easy to do this. Yeah. Madison's plan has been to try to slow them down, take away their hucks, and obviously Madison can't afford to give away the disc like they just did. Neither Annan nor Brown out there now. This is Adam Drews, a rookie on the Radicals, primary center handler. Underneath for Meshnick to Swain. Kittredge guarding Swain. Sneaking one past Nathan White. Brian Hart double teamed, he releases, and now a deep shot. Drews looking for Swain. The Spiders lost him, and he's got the score. The price you pay for the double team sometimes, right?
Yeah, there's someone open on the field. Kudos to Drew for finding him. You know, this is an interesting matchup for so many reasons, one of which the Radicals were dominant in the Midwest Division for so long. We almost took it for granted how good they were. They haven't had to open up and show off all their bag of tricks. We're starting to see exactly how versatile these players are.
It's a really good point. Not a bad throw from Drews. Wisconsin Hodag alum, 5'9" handler. Joy wants the deep shot immediately. Not sure if he saw Graffy lingering. Easily defended. Ashlyn Joy's second turnover here in the first quarter.
I think this is where not having a coach is really coming back to haunt the Spiders. there's not someone off the field to say, look, these are the things we've seen in watching footage. These are the things we need to change right now to turn this game around.
And what a shot again. Wriggles to Meyer. Threading the needle to the front pylon.
We should take another look at that. That might have been the front 2 feet of the end zone. The 2 feet squared, that is.
This throw sort of went up, and you're like, well, what's he thinking here? Now here's the Ashlyn Joy shot, looking for Albogan, and Graffy just sized it up the whole way. And then on the flip trip, it was Meshnik who sent it deep for Meyer.
You know, Graffy, obviously a huge pickup for the Radicals, as he is, as I've said before, the leading goal scorer, the leading defender in the AUDL. Mostly because of what he does as Monster in the zone, but I think what he's learned as playing Monster in that zone helps him on man as well. He plays the entire field like it's his responsibility to defend it.
Radicals back up by 3. Deep shot looking for Joy, defended by Kevin Pettit-Scantling. The defender not even close. Joy displaying his versatility.
That was a really incredible inside-out forehand put from Sanchez. It's throws like those that I really think has put the Spiders on the map in terms of offensive monsters you need to be aware of.
Ashlyn Joy has been a tremendous player for a long time. Really became a household name when he made the World Games team. It's funny because right before tryouts for the World Games, he was in Guatemala, and he basically had a month to train when he got back. He was down there as a medical volunteer. So he didn't feel like he was 100% full strength. It certainly helped. He said that Dutchie, Alex Gesquier, was the coach of the World Games team, who also coached him with San Francisco Revolver. And it certainly proved to be a good choice because in the pro game, he has separated himself as a level above. I'm always amazed by how he can play through mistakes. You know, a lot of guys make mistakes and get frustrated, and it changes the way they play. It's like being a great shooter. You always want to take that next shot.
That's a great point. You're bound to make mistakes on offense and on defense. Most commonly, a poorly timed throw or a bad decision, but being able to wipe it from your memory and then come back and be the star that you are, that is incredible.
Wriggles marked by Kittredge. Now Schreiwise. Past the laying out defender.
Both teams are really using the entire field to their advantage. We're not seeing a lot of clustering from either one.
Nate Thibodeau hauls in the score from Schreiwise. I think this is the type of offense that Madison really likes. Calm surveying the field. You can see Schreiwise with his eyes telling Thibodeau to go break side. Not a bad bid by Brett Peterson, the youngster out of UC Santa Cruz. Final minute here in the first quarter. Kearns back for Joy. Double team comes. It basically takes away any ability Ashlyn has to huck.
And then when he does, you see the result of that. Peter Graffy is ready and waiting.
Roeder breaks the cup for Kearns. These end of quarter situations so important. Do you try to take the final shot? I don't think there's been anybody better in the league at the final shot than San Jose. A ridiculous hammer defended by Meyer. Now the Radicals with 5. Turned over, Bacon, the end zone for Albogan. A monumental mistake made by Madison in the closing seconds of quarter number 1. 8-6. Madison should be up by 3, and they know it.
Yeah, that mistake is purely because of the end of quarter situation. Would have been better if he had just run out the clock.
Yeah, absolutely. You just don't want to give the disc away right there. The only thing you don't want to do. But credit Tyler Bacon, and then like Dennis Johnson after Larry Bird stole the ball, Markel Bogan cut to the right place with little time to spare. Entertaining 12 minutes in the books. We've got 36 more still to come here from Toronto. After 1, the Radicals 8, the Spiders 6. More of the AUDL semifinals on ESPN3 in a moment.
Hey, boss.
Who are you?
Charles Barkley.
I'm sorry, with all this growth, I can't remember every new hire.
You hired me for IT. I helped you win that trophy over there.
What have you done for me lately?
I worked with CDW and NetApp to set up a FlexPod data center platform.
Sounds like a winner. Keep it up, Barkley.
Barkley.
A tremendous first quarter in the books here from Varsity Stadium in Toronto. Thanks so much for joining us. Evan Lepler with Megan Tormey. Chuck Kindred at the last minute could not make the trip. We miss you, buddy. Hope you're doing all right back in Milwaukee. And don't be alarmed, everybody. Chuck's fine. Something came up that prevented him from being here this weekend. And in the first quarter, I know Chuck would have enjoyed it. Your thoughts on the way Madison came out of the gates and really threw the first 3 punches and taken the 3-0 lead?
Madison looked like they were 100% prepared for this game, mentally and strategically, and it showed in those first 3 points. They knew exactly what they wanted to do, how they wanted to do it. The Spiders, on the other hand, looked like they were taken a bit by surprise by the offense and the defense of the Madison Radicals.
It became 3-0. The missed chances from Sanchez. Try-wise one and Wriggles, but Kittredge defending. Game's been a little bit more wide open than I thought it might, in part because the conditions have been so perfect for this wide open style.
Absolutely perfect. We're really seeing a lot of exciting throws from both teams without them being ill-advised, save for the one throw from Ashlyn Joy right into the hands of Peter Graffi.
Kittredge, you know, I think the thing that makes him arguably the best player in the game is the fact that in addition to his highlight reel spectacularness, he's just become so super solid. Catching the disc every time, throwing the disc on the money. You know, nobody thinks of Bo as an elite handler, but he doesn't usually make mistakes throwing the disc.
That's a good point, and I've heard some of his teammates say that despite the fact he's a well-known name, he's clearly a superstar, he's still a very selfless individual. He will not look away an open throw to make an even bigger play. He's going to take what's given, so he's an excellent teammate as opposed to being individually a very strong player.
So not only does San Jose score that final second steal and score at the end of the first, Madison has to pull to start the second. Expect to see the zone with Graffi out there pulling. Weber and Meshnik in that two-person cup. And on the offensive line, most of the big names, although Kurt Gibson will begin this second quarter on the sidelines. Graffi pulls. Bacon for Joy. Kearns. Joy for Bacon. Over the top, into space, Kittredge able to haul it in. You can see San Jose trying to take a little bit more time with the disc. When the double team arrives, though, you only have 7 seconds. High release lefty backhand swatted away by Weber. Everhart, too much. Unforced turnover, looking for Graffi. The double team prevented Joy from hitting Sanchez across the field. He was looking for him. Kern scoobers for Bacon. And a whistle and a goal. I think the whistle was coming for a triple team.
I think so too. You may have noticed that Peter Graffi tried to pop in and take the job of Andrew Meshnick simply because he was closest to do so. And then downfield, the Radicals didn't look like they quite covered from that quick personnel change.
Around Bacon here, a lot of white bodies right around the disc.
Yeah, once Meshnick showed up, Peter Graffi didn't drop off as I'm sure they thought he might do.
So they will call a violation and take away the score, forcing San Jose to punch it in again. I think the whistle did come before the throw. Conversely, if he had thrown it away, it would still be San Jose's disc. Meshnick and Weber trying to prevent the dumps. Over the top, into the end zone. Mark Elbogen hauls it in.
Working through a very narrow window there. One other thing that's interesting about this Madison Cup, we always talk about the two-person, but then downfield, there's a nice diamond that sets up and takes away a lot of opportunities. And because that diamond shape is coming right off of that two-person cup, it leaves very few clear, decisive windows of opportunity. And right there in the end zone, there was just that one small pocket. The Spiders popped it right in there.
San Jose back within 1. Minute 13 gone here in the second quarter. If you missed it earlier, Toronto absolutely blitzed the New York Empire. The final was 31-16. Didn't even really feel like it was that close. Try-wise guarded by Smith. Back for Brown. Gibson drawing the Brown matchup consistently. And Gibson just went down and appears hurt. Kurt Gibson away from the disc. A non-contact injury. Just completely lost his balance and went down on the ground. And this is a matter of concern for Kurt Gibson, the Spiders, and everybody else in Ultimate. Former national champion at Florida. Won a club title with double wide. It's good to see him pop up under his own power. I think it's the right side of your screen here. If he comes into the picture, yep. And he was a good 6 yards away from Andrew Brown when he stumbled. And a quick turnover. Gibson stays in the game and picks up the turn. Now San Jose with a chance to tie. Keoy for Smith. Past Gibson, but somebody else was there. The Spiders tie it up. Greg Cohen in the end zone again. 8-all, 10-12 left in the second. Good to see Gibson okay. And Greg Cohen, just 22 years old, out of UC Santa Cruz, an all-region guy in college. Patience from Keoy. And then Kevin Smith to Cohen. Now, Greg Cohen, I asked him if he had been to Canada before, and he said, yeah. And I was about 13 years old for the Jewish Maccabi basketball games. he played on a team, and apparently it didn't go very well. That was in Vancouver.
Sure, he'd be glad to have a sporting event that does bring back better memories.
Well, he's got a table tennis tournament in which he won the gold medal in doubles in the Twin Cities back in the day as well. Cohen, a versatile athlete. Favorite combined basketball ultimate and table tennis? Greg Cohen's my first pick. Oh, that's got to be contact. Sonny Zaccaro just basically had Andrew Meshnick as a backpack. And that's a bigger backpack than you need or want.
Oh, I hate to admit it, but I've done something very similar, completely unintentionally. But once your feet kind of fail you, the best thing you can do is grab hold of that person and hold on.
Quick dump to Kittredge. Underneath. Chris Farina. Over Kittredge's head. Madison a little out of sorts here. 2 handlers and a 5-person horizontal stack. Meshnick. Back to Drews. Underneath, defended. Jeff Silverman laying out for the Spiders. That's just what he's done all season long. Bobbled and turned over. Federico Chialvo dropped it and then committed the foul on Graffi. On the reset, Farina doing a great job defending the handler. Tim DeBile just calls a timeout from the sidelines.
Fair enough. We are seeing just a few and uncharacteristic movements from the Radicals. I think the speed of the game is kind of flustering them just a bit.
Well, Madison has not scored so far in the second quarter. It was 8-6 after 1. It's 8-8 now. Timeout with 8:19 left. Radical fans out in full force here in Toronto, hoping they can face the Rush tomorrow. We'll be back to Varsity Stadium in just a moment.
Don't worry, I'll call you when I get there.
Mom's not gonna believe it.
Send her a picture. Are you seeing this?
Wow.
Thanks. Some of the Spiders fans on hand. On the right, that's Andrew Zill, the owner of the San Jose Spiders. Really proud of what his team has accomplished already this year in its first season. Andrew Brown splices the double team, gets it to Schreiwise via the layout. Gibson, a real active mark on Brown. Over to Annan. Underneath, Coolidge. Shook his defender, and a couple Spiders went tumbling. Wriggles for Brown. Again, it's Coolidge. Got to respect the downfield defense here from the Spiders. Finally able to shake Nathan White into the brink of the end zone. It's Wiseman connecting with Schreiwise. Stall called on Schreiwise at the goal line.
The Spiders play an exhaustive downfield D. You watch, it looks like they're almost baiting the throw a little bit and then close in super quick.
San Jose really working hard defensively. Now the Spiders will take the timeout. The chess match continues. Some fresh legs on offense, some fresh legs on defense. Just under 7 minutes to play in the second quarter. 8-all for the right to play in the championship game tomorrow.
Why are you Employee of the Month?
I hired an ice sculptor. What did you do?
What did I do? I work with CDW to increase efficiency, and I optimize our data center with Cisco UCS service with Intel Xeon processors.
Oh, that is good.
So can I be Employee of the Month?
No.
Good look at the Radicals sideline. So much depth on this Madison team all season long. We saw Tim DeBile, the coach, yesterday agonizing over what his roster would be for today's game. It was not an obvious top 20. I think he really feels confident in his top 23 or 24 guys. And he ended up having to sit down a guy who played in every game all year. Kelson Alexander, not active for today's game. He's a little banged up, but he's played every game this year, and he's watching on the sidelines as the Spiders play the Radicals in the semifinals. We're tied 8-8. Alongside Megan Tormey, I'm Evan Lepler and our great Fulcrum Media Group team. And Gibson down on the field again. Pops up again. I was thinking about before, in so many of the games we've watched all season, the offenses come out firing. And you might see 3 points in the first 90 seconds. And then inevitably, there are some changes, defensive adjustments, and the offense begins to slow down. Do you think it's simply a fact about the defensive adjustments? Or do you think the offenses can only remain locked in for so long? Why do you think the pace of scoring typically slows down later in the game? Gibson fouled again on the mark. He'll retain possession of the disc.
I think once players start to get to know one another a little bit better, you as a player can make adjustments to kind of counter both their strengths and exploit their weaknesses.
Gibson hammers for Kittredge, for Bacon. And now Bacon stumbles. And he gets up but quickly walks toward the sideline. Kevin Smith will replace him. You see anything here? Ooh.
A bad slip. Yeah, I wonder why so many players are slipping on this field so much today.
When it's a little damp, gets a little drizzle, it becomes that much more slick. What a throw. Kevin Smith to Simon Higgins. Dropping the hammer in, and the Spiders take their first lead of the game.
Kevin Smith certainly known for his breathtaking, sometimes heart-stopping throws. But of course, if you have that capacity, you open up a lot more opportunities.
So the Spiders have now scored 4 in a row, from being down 8-5 to up 9-8. The double team there to still get that throw off and have that vision is remarkable. We encourage you to join us on social media at the AUDL, at Evan Lepler, at Meagles000. Tweet us any questions you might have about these two teams, about the potential championship game matchup. You really can ask us anything. We can't guarantee good answers, but that's why we're here. Riggles shooting one deep, looking for Coolidge. 3 defenders nearby.
Oh.
Greg Cohen just barely outruns Coolidge to the disc. Nice crowd is stuck around here in Toronto to watch and see whom the Rush will face tomorrow. Dump back for Smith. Kittredge and Peterson both in the area. It falls incomplete. Kittredge dove into contact. Madison restarts quickly. Brown with a second to breathe. To Riggles. Under 5 minutes to go here in the second quarter. The Radicals searching for the equalizer. Brown dribbles it off the turf for Schreiwise. And one more to Thomas Coolidge.
Finally makes it into the hands of Thomas Coolidge, who at 5'8", certainly not the biggest player in the AUDL, but plays like he is a good 6 inches taller. Towards the end of the season, we've seen the Radicals quite a few times. He is a phenomenal player, and he comes down with discs that you think he has absolutely no chance of getting. To be perfectly honest, I'm a little surprised he missed the throw. He's heading into the end zone here.
What do you think about this air bounce from Andrew Brown?
You know, he's a very skillful thrower. And I know that the Radicals were thrilled to have him on their team, not only because of his field sense, the way he can look out and see exactly how he wants to craft the offense, how he wants to dictate what's going on, but for his capacity to do things like that.
Swain defends Kearns deep. Swain sized it up and then elevated, showing off the hops. The two number 6s, Nathan White marking Bill Everhart. Andrews hits Swain, who's guarded by Al Bogan. Kevin Brown, the younger brother of Andrew. Meshnik looking for Swain.
Just a little too far if it was out of the reach of one of the fastest Radical players.
Double team comes. Joy resets for Roeder. Centers Kearns. A lot of traffic near the disc, and now they shift into the man-to-man. Joy trying to shake Pettit-Scantling downfield. Kevin Pettit-Scantling, a young kid from Racine, Wisconsin, had such a huge game last week in the win over Indy. Here's Sanchez launching the target, Simon Higgins. He's there. 10-9 San Jose. Angel in the end zone. A great illustration of what makes San Jose so tough. Marcelo Sanchez, talked about as a cutter, as a receiver. That was a really pretty throw.
That is the second wicked forehand put he's had today. It's incredible to watch him launch it too. He just stomps his right foot and rips it.
.244 left here in the second quarter. Calvo the pull. Gibson sprinting down to mark the handler Brown. Kittredge playing center field right now. Riggles wide open underneath on the other side of the field. Kittredge yields the underneath for Riggles. Brown gets there. Reverse, hammer, incomplete. Thibodeau with a gutsy attempt. Dave Wiseman could not finish it.
I'm sure he was hoping there was just a little more float on that hammer there. Wiseman had the narrowest window possible to catch that.
Dave Wiseman is heading to Italy this week to play with an Australian team at Worlds. His wife Robin's playing with Minneapolis Dragon thrust. Cox with a lot of space crossfield for Kittredge. Silverman back to Bow. Kurt Gibson. And it doesn't get much easier than that.
Yep.
Kittredge took the defense with him, and that allowed Chris Farina to gain the goal.
You know, when you look at the resumes of the individuals on the San Jose Spiders, they have had some really interesting experiences in very high pressure situation. Chris Farina with a catch just there has won 2 silver medals on slow white in 2006, 2007, and took the bronze in the 2006 World Games. Having that kind of experience is really going to help you up your level of intensity and maintain your composure in games where a lot is on the line.
Producing on the East Coast and now producing on the West Coast. Poaching layout bid unsuccessful. San Jose right now on a 6-1 run. Graffy wants it. Defended by Smith. The Spiders defense has held the Radicals to 1 goal here in the second quarter. Timeout called from the sideline. It was Coach Nate Boscher who called it. The Spiders with 25 seconds on the clock. Here's the D from Smith. Looking for Meshnik. Graffy gives it away. 25 seconds in the half. The Spiders up by 2, looking to make it 3 when we come back.
I missed my graduation. Practice. I sleep so we could drill. I missed anniversary, Father's Day, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day. I missed some plane flights. I even missed my parents' anniversary. I missed a lot.
It's interesting to note who takes the field here in basically a universe point situation. San Jose with 25 seconds left, expecting to play offense. It's Smith, Joy, Gibson, Kittredge, Higgins, Kearns, and Sanchez. Smith. Gibson hauls it in. Endures the contact, finds Kittredge. 7 seconds. Joy for Kittredge, well done. With just seconds remaining in the first half. The Spiders, once down 8-5, now lead 12-9. It started with the Smith D on the deep shot for Meshnik. Madison has come unglued a little bit, taking a few too many shots. They worked in the first. They have not been nearly as high percentage here in the second. And then watch the float that Joy puts on that disc, knowing that he's got arguably the fastest guy in Ultimate to chase it down with wide open space. Annan lets it fly. It's going to come close to the goal line. It's tipped up, and it's knocked away. And that's how the first half ends. Just like last week, Madison stumbles in the second quarter. The Alley Cats held the Radicals to 2 scores in the second quarter last week. If this went in the end zone and was caught by Madison, it would have been their second score in the second quarter this week. And the big question becomes, as we look toward the third, will Madison, like they did against the Alley Cats, be able to turn it around? Or will San Jose continue to cruise like it has since it trailed 8-5? One of the big reasons for the turnaround was one of the big stars for San Jose, Kurt Gibson, and he's down on the field with Megan Tormey.
Thanks so much, Evan. Kurt, a bit of a roller coaster start for you guys. What was going on in that first quarter?
You know, they've got a very interesting zone that we've never seen before, and it requires the disc to be moved very, very quickly, and I think we were holding on to it too long and kind of giving their markers a chance to set up. And with the double teams that are allowed, that's not a good sign for us to, not a good thing for us to do if we want to move the disc quickly and score.
Okay, and what was kind of the turning point for you guys to start moving again offensively? What was talked about, or what you guys realized?
Well, I think we came together at the half and said, you know, our offense is struggling, and it's because we're not moving the disc quickly. I mean, they've pretty much played the zone the entire game, so it's a matter of us moving the disc quickly, like I said, and really just being a little more patient. I think we were trying to rush it. If we got to a high stall count, we tried to force hammers and some over-the-top throws, and we weren't connecting on those. So once we kind of calmed down and made some shorter, quick throws, that really helped us.
And, you know, it looked like Madison was having an easy time when they were on offense as well. What have you guys done to turn up the defense so far?
Well, they do a great job of spreading out the field, and I think at first, you know, we were given some pretty easy scores. So we had to kind of just step it up on the mark, be a little more cognizant of the break throws, because they were, you know, forcing it up the sideline, or excuse me, the fourth side, and then they get the easy break throws when you're trying to overcompensate. So we're just trying to stay true to what we were supposed to be doing as a team and just kind of play together, and I think we did that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you guys have to go and kind of change things, talk about things during the halftime. Are you guys? Is it smooth sailing from here, or do you guys still need to work on some things?
I mean, absolutely not. I think being down in the first quarter, I don't know if that's happened all season. So this team's ready to play, and I think it kind of caught us a little bit off guard. But you know what? We brought it together at the end of the first quarter, and I think we're going to do the same thing here to really make sure we put this game away.
All right. Well, good luck. I'm excited to see what you guys do.
Thank you.
And Evan, back to you.
Hey, Megan, Kurt, thank you so much. Obviously, a long way to go in this one. The Spiders leading by 3 at the break. A big turnaround. San Jose trailed by 3 late in the first quarter. When we come back, the commissioner of the AUDL will join us as our championship weekend coverage continues here in Toronto. Again, the halftime score, the Spiders 12, the Radicals 9. More from Varsity Stadium in a moment.
Don't worry, I'll call you when I get there.
Mom's not gonna believe it.
Send her a picture. Are you seeing this?
Wow.
Admit it, we've outgrown our office space.
What?
We're meeting in an elevator.
Let's talk to CDW's Mobility Solutions team.
They'll configure the Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Carbon with the Intel Core i7 processors for our network.
It's super light, so we can work from anywhere.
I like it.
Excuse me, gentlemen. We've got this room booked. Thank you.
Halftime entertainment here in Toronto. The Spiders, once down 8-5, close the first half on a 7-1 run. And we welcome you back to the broadcast booth. We got to get you a Twitter handle, Steve Gordon. You got nothing on the screen right there. The commissioner of the AUDL, Steve Gordon. Steve, it's great to see you, and it's great to be here. What a season this has been. How would you characterize year 3 in the AUDL?
Well, first, Evan, I would characterize this as a huge leap over what we did last year. Obviously, having a relationship with ESPN has been unbelievable for us. We've got a number of new teams. Obviously, we have the Spiders out here today who are proving themselves to be one of the elite, if not the elite, in the league. We'll know more about that tomorrow. But with the competition out west and what we're seeing now, and we're seeing, as we just saw this quarter, was a tough quarter for Madison, but I also think you're going to see them come back, too. They don't shake easily.
I know a lot of fans are curious about expansion, and I know we don't have all the answers for that right now. The question I have for you, when a prospective owner comes and says, I'm interested in owning a team, what are the questions you ask them?
First of all, we're looking for the right cities. You know, we've got cities that we've got earmarked as the ones that we want to be in. If we're matching owners with the right communities is first. Owners that, first of all, have to have the financial capacity to be an owner, obviously, to have the passion for ultimate, and three, be connected with the community that they want to be in as well. So there's a lot more to it, but that's the primary things that we're looking for.
So looking in the reality, when Andrew Zill came to you and talked about getting a team in the Bay Area in San Jose, what were your first thoughts about Andrew Zill and the Spiders?
Well, first of all, Andrew Zill came on with Josh Moore prior to my being here, so I wasn't the one that had the chance to do that. But it takes about 2 seconds with Andrew Zill to realize that he's the right guy for the right position. I always say if I had 17 Andrew Zills right now, I'd be happier than heck. So.
And, you know, we're here in Toronto. They've had great attendance here in Toronto. Montreal has been amazing. What are some of the plans in the offseason to just make this a better league going forward?
Well, the two cities that you talked about have done some great things that maybe we're not doing across the board yet, and we're starting to spread some of the great ideas that some of the teams have, so that we're all utilizing them. We're also doing a lot of things from the league side now, and looking at bigger pictures that we can do from a centralized position too to assist these teams. So we're going to kind of attack that problem from both sides.
You've watched Ultimate now for a while. You've got a pretty good sense of the game. What were your expectations coming into this one with Madison and San Jose, two teams that have never seen each other before? Obviously, the pendulum swung both ways, and probably a few more swings in the second half coming.
Yeah, actually, coming into this game, I was really excited about this matchup more than any because you had, statistically at least, the best offense and best defense in the league, and I kind of wanted to see which one was going to prevail. I felt that if Madison played well in the first quarter, probably boded well for them. Obviously, that hasn't proven out to be the case so far, so maybe I don't know Ultimate as much as I think I do yet. But really looking forward to the second half. I think you'll see Madison rebound. They don't get shaken easy.
Let me ask you one question wearing your different hat as the owner of the Chicago Wildfire. I know you wish the Wildfire were here right now. You ran into a red-hot New York team last week. What kinds of things do you have in store for 2015 with a Wildfire to be a part of championship weekend next year?
Yeah, as you probably know, the Wildfire have a great relationship with Chicago Machine, who is one of the top club teams in the nation. It hasn't translated to the Wildfire this year, mainly, I think, because we've just had a lot of weather issues. We didn't have a lot of time to practice, and it's a different field. The relationship that we have with Machine is growing all the time. I think as that continues to grow, we're doing a lot of things that are going to help both clubs as we move forward. We didn't have the season that we wanted this year, but we're very excited about the future.
Last thing I'll ask you is you put your commissioner's hat back on. For fans who are watching this at home and thinking, man, I wish I was at AUDL Championship Weekend, in years forward, what is this Championship Weekend experience going to be like in your dream scenario?
In dream scenario, first of all, as much as we're so happy with the way it's gone this year, every year we feel like we're going to get better. We're going to do things a little bigger, a little better, so we're going to continue to advance. If we say dream scenario 3 to 5 years out, I think we're going to see exponentially sized crowds. We're going to see more activities surrounding the event itself. And instead of just being 3 games, that will always be the focal point, but there'll be a lot more too to make the whole experience a lot better as well.
This is a pretty good experience as well. Steve Gordon, the commissioner of the AUDL, thank you for all you've done and for bringing me aboard. It's been a privilege to be here, and hopefully the beginning of many more years to come. Thank you so much.
We feel the same way. Thanks, Evan. So happy to have you, too. Thank you.
Very kind. 12-9 the score at the half. San Jose leading Madison. We're back with more from Toronto in just a moment.
I missed my graduation to practice. I sleep so we could drill. I missed anniversary, Father's Day, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day.
I missed some playing play. I even missed my parents' anniversary. I missed a lot.
Don't worry, I'll call you when I get there.
Mom's not gonna believe it.
It's under a picture. Are you seeing this?
Wow.
Welcome back to the 2014 AUDL Championship weekend here in Toronto. The score at the half, 12-9, and I am joined by a couple guys who will be in the championship game tomorrow. To my left, Mark Lloyd, one of the stars and the general manager for the Toronto Rush. To my right, Evan Phillips, the head coach of the Rush. I don't really know who to start with, so I'll start with the coach if that's all right with you. I imagine you didn't expect your semifinal game to be as easy as it was. What did you do to fluster New York so much?
Well, we brought pressure to the handlers. That was sort of the primary goal going into the game. And a couple of specific matchups, which we did pretty well on, that just sort of frazzled them a little bit early, and it sort of compounded and worked out for us pretty well.
Before I get to Mark, you're watching this second semifinal. Yeah. What are your thoughts when you watch these two teams go head-to-head?
A lot of skill, and Madison brings a lot of size as well, and pretty strategic zone defense, which we're not seeing too much today. But yeah, I mean, both scary teams for different reasons.
Mark, before the AUDL was a thing, you had a breakfast with your father about possibly having a team in Toronto, and now the championship weekend is here. What does it mean to you to be a part of this whole experience?
It's pretty exciting. Before the DC game, I mentioned to the guys that we should just sort of take a moment and realize the opportunity we have to play for something meaningful in front of friends and family. And we've made the most of our 2 games at home in the playoffs so far, and hopefully we can do so again tomorrow.
Are you someone on the field who hears the fans?
I try not to. Sometimes I hear some things. In Montreal game, the first one, I heard this one guy saying some mean things, but generally I try to drown it out and just focus on what's going on in the field.
And the team you guys have put together, so much depth. No Jeff Powell today. I know his status is up in the air for tomorrow. Who in your mind were the keys to you guys getting the win today for you?
Well, we had our MVP of the game, which was Jonathan Martin, and he was one of the guys. We had a very specific matchup, and he executed it really well. And just, I mean, I think our whole D-line, so I'd give it to the, 13 guys that sort of played defense that whole game, which really stepped up.
When you look at a possible matchup with either San Jose or Madison, what kind of different things will you guys have to think about whether you're going against one or the other?
I think the forecast of this game is going to be offense versus defense. So if we get San Jose, we got to figure out how to slow down their offense. And if we have Madison, you got to figure out how to beat that defense. Obviously, you're going to have to worry about both sides of the disc with both teams, both very talented. But I guess your focus goes to what these teams are strong at and how to limit what they're able to do.
I was talking to Evan about this before the game, but when you guys lost that game to Montreal, what was the team's mindset in the immediate aftermath?
We found a really good mentality halfway through that game. We had started out pretty slow, and we found this new thing, just resetting after every point. So after every point, you'll see some of us on the sideline holding one finger up, which is our reset. So just 1 point's over, focus on the next one. And we've had that for the DC game and our game against New York today, and we're finding it's really working on keeping energy high on the sideline and keeping guys focused and mentally checked in.
Well, it's been amazing watching you guys play. It's been great times being here in Toronto. Somehow you made the weather hold up for us tonight. The forecast was pretty ominous.
Made some calls to get the good weather. Yeah.
Tomorrow the weather going to be good as well?
Yeah, for sure. It should be nice sunny day. Hopefully minimal wind and no rain.
Mark Lloyd taking care of business on the field and up above, apparently. Mark Lloyd, Evan Phillips, thank you guys for taking the time. Good luck tomorrow, and it's been a pleasure watching you guys play.
Thanks a lot.
We will be back with more coverage here from Toronto in just a moment. We'll go down to Megan when we come back. 12-9, the Spiders lead at the half.
Money fight!
They get to throw money around, and we have to watch every cent.
At least IT is being responsible. We got CDW to upgrade the whole company to the latest HP printers.
Increased productivity and saved us a fortune.
Charles, grab a bucket and join in. Charles, you don't bring pennies to a money fight.
As the Radicals prepare for the second half here in Toronto, a nice view of the skyline here at Varsity Stadium. The Toronto Rush are awaiting the winner. Time to take a look at some of the highlights and see why the Rush are headed back to the AUDL Finals. Well, that was how Toronto's game went. Let's take a look at some of the first half highlights from the second semifinal as Megan Tormey rejoins me here in the booth. Our highlights presented by CDW. And it was all Radicals at the start. The zone really flustered the Spiders early. And then there was sort of a key turning point, and really that goal at the end of the first quarter stemmed the tide to change things. And it was all Spiders after that.
Yeah, Kurt illustrated and highlighted the importance of them moving the disc quickly. They were allowing the Radicals cup to tighten just a little too much. So once they started opening up the field a little bit, getting those opportunities moving quickly, it did look much more like a San Jose game.
Pretty impressive adjustments made by a team without a really designated head coach. And well, this is a nice deep shot from Marcelo Sanchez to Ashlyn Joy. He had a couple turnovers early. He's been super steady, as all the Spiders have been lately. You know, some ill-advised deep shots from both teams. When you were down in the field, you talked to Kurt, but you also were right near the Madison guys. What was your perspective on how they look? How did they appear to feel?
Both teams are in this 100%. I was looking to my left and my right. Everyone was standing on the very edge of the sideline, hands on the hips, eyes wide. I think they're both really excited about the outcome of this game.
Bunch of great layouts in that first half from both sides. That was when Meshnik climbed on top of the back of Sonny Zaccaro. You think these guys don't want it? I mean, they are throwing their bodies around relentlessly. Really is a sight to see.
Yeah, from both teams, we're seeing unparalleled efforts, and I think it is because we have the strongest team in the Midwest facing off the strongest team in the West. Why wouldn't it be a star-studded, really impactful game?
You know, chatting with Mark Lloyd and Evan Phillips, I think they're pretty confident, but I also think they see these teams' talent, and they're certainly not overconfident, knowing how strong both these squads are. Mike Swain getting up for the D for the Radicals. The plan was to have Swain guard Kittredge under the assumption that Kittredge would be playing on the offensive line. He's done a little of that, but he's played primarily on the D line with a guy like Simon Higgins, who's truly an up-and-coming star. Andrew Brown, long established as a thrower. Probably doesn't get enough credit for his athleticism.
He doesn't normally have to show it off as he does in this game. And something else that's worth considering in tomorrow's game, whichever team makes it from the game we're watching right now, they're going to be a little more practiced in higher pressure situations. However, they're going to be a little more tired. We are seeing some pretty athletic and exhaustive play.
And down the stretch, Kittredge from Joy. Those two have dialed each other's number so frequently over the course of the season. Spiders with one final D. A minute away from the start of the second half. We'll take a 30-second break. The Spiders and the Radicals, third quarter, next.
Don't worry, I'll call you when I get there.
Mom's not gonna believe it.
Send her a picture. Are you seeing this?
Wow.
12 minutes on the clock. The Spiders will pull to the Radicals to begin this third quarter. San Jose only lost one time in the regular season. That was by 1 point. A game they led by as many as 5 at San Francisco. Madison lost twice at Minneapolis and at Chicago once. But first place in the Midwest Division, taking care of Indy in the quarters. Deep shot off the bat. Brian Hart looking to the end zone, and Pat Schreiways gets big.
On a roster as deep as the Radicals, of course, they missed Schreiways last weekend against the Alley Cats, but they had someone fill his shoes. All the same, you see plays like that and you understand it's very important to have him on the field.
Gives them a different level of explosiveness with his size and his elevation ability. Timed that perfectly with Kevin Cox nearby.
And also, you look how he turned as he was jumping. He didn't want to give up position. He didn't want to give up perhaps jumping too early or having the disc fly over him. So he kept sprinting into the last possible second, turned and jumped simultaneously to make that play at just the right moment.
Here's the Spiders offense. Scored 6 in the first quarter, 6 in the second quarter. How many here in the third? Elbogen shakes his defender, gets it to Kevin Smith. Looking deep for Elbogen. The Santa Barbara connection reunites. All season long, Elbogen has been one of the top difference makers in the league.
You know, we really haven't seen all that he's capable of doing tonight. That was a rather vanilla catch for him. But he made catches that I think no human has a right to catch. From crazy angles, making insane layouts. He's a very exciting downfield cutter.
Extraterrestrial catches, what we call those. The ET grab. Chialvo again to pull. Gibson and Kittredge playing D. Contact called on the offense. A 10-yard penalty on Madison. Confusion whether the disc was in the air when the call was made or not. It appears it will be, and it'll stay with Schreiways, who's marked by White. David Schleicher, we haven't called his name out a ton. Dangerous flip, but Brown hauls it in.
Yeah, he's known for being the top goal scorer for the Madison Radicals, but has had to come back, make some pretty fast and dynamic cuts under to get the offense flowing.
Look at the mark, tight on the handler defender. Brown for Schreiways. San Jose's defense doing a nice job limiting space on the field, and that throw opens up the entire field again for the Radicals.
But not for long. The Spiders are really good at defending horizontal stacks. They're pretty good at standing in a space where 2 potential cuts might come.
Contact called on Cox. Brown right back. Brian Hart, the former Hodag, hauls it in.
Brown obviously pumped from that score. It's imperative that Madison keep the game as tight as possible, if not try and regain their lead. The Spiders are very good at remaining calm and collected in the second half of games. And in the fourth quarter is really where we see the Spiders tend to widen their gap or come back if by any chance they're behind at all.
And one of the things about Madison, they have not had a ton of close games. I mean, you saw a couple of them against Chicago and their loss to Minneapolis, to Minnesota. Smith battles through the double team. Joy with a slash cut to collect the disc. Can expect a trap on the sideline here. Smith tried to duck through it, and contact is called. Weber and Meshnik communicating. Looking for Sanchez. He's got it. To Higgins. Not in yet. For Smith with space. And the score.
Yeah, you're right. The Radicals have not had a ton of opportunities to play tight or close games. The one game where I thought the Radicals looked unlike themselves was exactly that game you were referencing, their loss to the Minnesota Wind Chill, who absolutely obliterated the cup with over-the-top throws. They were throwing hammers and blades, and the Radicals were really struggling to keep up. I thought we would see that at the onset from the Spiders, but it's starting to look like they're gaining the sense of what kind of throws they need to put to quickly beat the Radicals Cup, and they definitely have the talent and the capacity to do it.
One thing that strikes you about the downfield cutters for the Spiders, they're all throwers too. Whether it's Sanchez or Higgins or Bacon or Kittredge.
Very good point, and not just throwers, but phenomenal throwers.
Just about 9 minutes remaining in this third quarter. Silverman marking Brown this time. Wiseman off for Riggles. Kittredge defending. Annan. Keoy on him. Coolidge makes the slash cut, defended by Bacon. Brown double teamed. Scoobers for the big man Riggles. Riggles really towers over Kittredge, doesn't he?
He certainly does, and at 6'3", there are very few people who can make Kittredge look dwarfed like that.
In the air might be a different story. Stall called on Madison. Far side of the field. Held for just a split second too long by Hart. San Jose looking for a 4-score lead. Annan defending Keoy. Incomplete. That's a mistake. Keoy intercepts for Silverman. 15-11 San Jose.
Spiders a little more decisive on these turnovers. They're really taking it, running with it, and capitalizing on any mistakes the Radicals are making.
Could have caught contact on either one. I like the referee sticking the whistle in the pocket there, though. Neither guy gained a clear advantage. And just a...
You're right, and both of them were...
Really a clumsy point for the Madison offense.
Yep.
You know, the stall count and then the giveaway on the goal line. And now they're receiving again with neither Brown nor Annan on the field. Everhart and Drews out there with Schreiwise, Swain, Graffi, Meshnik, and Kevin Brown. Meshnik didn't expect it, makes the catch anyway with a left.
Federico Chialvo was in hot pursuit there. Meshnik going up with a left hand to get around his defender. Great grab there.
Mentioned this stat last week, but during the regular season, there were only 3 guys in the AUDL that had at least 25 assists, at least 25 goals, and at least 25 Ds. 2 of them on the field today. Meshnik for Madison and Kittredge for San Jose. Kittredge was the only 30-30-30 guy in the league.
Impressive stat from both of them.
So there was a time in this game, Megan, when it looked like the Radicals were in control. Now the Spiders are dictating the pace and the tempo.
Yeah, and on that last point when Meshnik caught the disc over Chivalgo, I was really surprised at how tight and narrow that catch was earlier. They had a lot more space to work with offensively.
Quick over the top throw, got a lot of yards for the Spiders. Tough hammer for Higgins, he's got it. What a throw from Kearns. That was a bullet.
Graffy caught just a little unaware by that throw. No, it's difficult that he has the entire end zone to guard.
Yeah, that's one of those throws on a day like this where there's very little wind on a field this wide. If you got that throw, there's really no way to stop it with his own defense. And that's something Tim DeBile has to think about on the sidelines.
It looks like the Spiders have definitely caught up to what it takes to get through the Radical Cup. At some point you have to say, it's no longer effective, it's time to go to man.
Brown for Schreiwise. And now Coolidge. Quick flip for Annan. Shooting for Schreiwise. Help defense from the weak side. Force Schreiwise to go up early. Chris Thompson with a help defense. He probably won't get credit for a D, but his presence changed that pursuit from Schreiwise.
Yeah, you saw Schreiwise look over his left shoulder, see how close Thompson was.
Ryan Hart comes up with a much needed D on the Radicals O-line. Brown throws it low, it's still up. Coolidge kept it alive. Schreiwise stumbled and there's a pick downfield. This is a fun matchup, Gibson and Schreiwise. Wiseman to the end zone.
And there we see Schleicher popping into his oh-so-common role of the goal scorer of the point. You know, he keeps close eye on his stats. He knows how vital it is for him to generate a lot of scores for the Radicals in one of the games against, one of their 2 games against the Wildfire. He told me after the game, I'm not pleased with how many points I scored tomorrow. You should see me in the end zone a lot more.
It was Brian Hart's hand block that triggered this offensive surge. And Schleicher, that was very close to hitting the turf. David Schleicher won a couple Division III national titles at Wisconsin Whitewater. Radicals pulling, trailing by 3. Roeder quickly centers for Joy. Joy has Elbogan underneath. And a tough catch with the defender trailing nearby. Elbogen wants Sanchez. Swain there, and he gets the D.
Swain really showing off this game. I feel like throughout the season, in the games where we've highlighted the Radicals, we haven't seen much from Swain, more because he was just shutting his man down, not even giving his man the opportunity to get the disc, which doesn't really highlight the kind of plays he can make like we've seen him do tonight.
Deep shot for the Radicals. And it's a score. The AUDL leader in D's, Peter Graffey, finds the end zone on O to bring Madison back within 2. One thing we need to take a look at on the sidelines after this point, Pat Schreiwise is getting his knee looked at. Swain had the D. 2 of the guys with the greatest closing speed in the league, and Swain and Sanchez. And just a beautiful put. Adam Drews has really come up big for the Radicals. And Graffey beats Higgins deep.
Yeah, Drews has put up some beautiful long throws today that has really stretched the field for the Radicals.
Hard to tell if Schreiwise is simply getting his knee rewrapped on the sideline or whether it's a more serious issue. He was just helped up by Swain, and he's walking pretty well. We'll see if he comes back on the field in the next Madison O point, which could be soon with how quickly the Spiders have worked it down the field here. With 1/3 of this third quarter remaining. Scuber to Kittredge.
Evan, I think you hit the nail on the head earlier when you said, on a day like today, given the throws that so many individuals on the Spiders have, not just one, not just two, but so many people have, this is a really hard offense to try and guard with a zone.
Well, early in the game, the double team near the disc really seemed to rattle them. And then they just settled down, surveyed, and realized that there would be somebody open. Oftentimes 2 or 3 people open. Gibson pulls for the Spiders. They lead by 3. Schreiwise is back out there. Schreiwise was streaking deep while Hart came underneath. Gibson and tough catch. What a play made by Coolidge to keep that disc alive. And now a deep shot. Does he have enough? Yes, he does. Brian Hart has been a difference maker here in the third quarter for Madison.
Yeah, he's had some great Ds, but that was a fantastic catch. I also really believe that plays like that can fire up your team and pull them out of a lull.
And there was a point in this third quarter where it looked like San Jose might be pulling away, and now Madison's back within 2, and I'm right with you.
I totally agree. I think both teams are showing us that they can get flustered, but not let that impact them for the rest of the game.
.330 remaining. After that point, took only 26 seconds. Pettit Scantling just relentlessly chasing Ashlyn Joy. Kearns marked by Swain. The double team comes with Drews, with Everhart, excuse me. And contact on Madison.
Yeah, those tight double teams are really hard to successfully execute without making some contact with the handler.
Smith, low release flick for Sanchez. Looking to the end zone. big layout bid from Elbogen. A chance for the Radicals here.
No extraterrestrial tricks from Elbogen in that play.
Sensing the importance of this point, Tim DeBile will take a timeout. Timeout called by the Radicals with 2:27 remaining in this third quarter. The Spiders by 2. Madison on offense here in Toronto when we return.
I missed my graduation. Practice. I sleep so we could drill. I missed anniversary, Father's Day, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day. I missed the playing play. I even missed my parents' anniversary. I missed a lot.
Just beyond the CN Tower, the harbor here in Toronto, the Rogers Center where the Blue Jays play, right next to the CN Tower, that big, tall, skinny monument. And as we zoom in on Andrew Brown, marked by a pretty daunting duo, Kurt Gibson and Ashlyn Joy. What a great game this has been as we play in the third quarter. Great little fake by Brown to free up the open lane for Hart, who shoots it deep. Wiseman circling it. Wiseman hauls it in. Try-wise. One-score game.
Wiseman is an absolute monster in the air. He's also really good at setting up his position early.
Because when that disc went up in the air, he moved away from the disc.
You're absolutely right, so that he could then turn in, keep his player at his back while he had good view of the disc. And it also helps that he's 6'4" and 190 pounds.
Doesn't hurt. The Spiders crew of supporters. Pretty spectacular pull. About 100 yards deep. Interesting, Kevin Smith playing this offensive point along with Kittredge. Great job by San Jose switching fields. Sanchez, big collision between Smith and Reef. Referee says play on. And San Jose finds Kittredge in the end zone. It's amazing that both players stayed on their feet there.
For curious minds, they're pretty well matched in size. Kevin Smith is 6 feet tall and 175 pounds. While Adrian Reef is 6'1", 185.
This is after the collision. Oh, before the collision. Well before. Started with a swing, and here comes the slash cut from Smith. Impact in 3, 2, 1.
You know, Evan, you've had an opportunity to see both of these teams a lot. Are you at all surprised by what's going on today?
I really expected a close game, to be honest with you. I thought that Madison would do some things that would fluster San Jose and vice versa. And I think Madison, you know, it's interesting because what is depth? Is depth 1 through 10 or is depth 1 through 20? I think 1 through 10, San Jose has a superior depth, and certainly 1 through 3. But 11 through 20, I think Madison might have more horses. And I'm not sure there's a bigger fan of the second 7 for San Jose, bigger than me. You know, the guys like Bacon and Higgins and Kearns, Cohen, Calvo. I mean, those guys have been impact players all year long and don't get talked enough about when people focus on the trio of Kittredge, Joy, and Gibson. Radicals will gain the 10 yards as Gibson ran into his back. Low release from Radicals to the end zone.
Schleicher again. Now, that's a really interesting point you make about the difference in depth between these two teams. One I think that may be undervalued, but certainly will be talked a lot, regardless of the outcome of this game.
If Chuck Kindred were here, he would be drooling over this low release throw from Scott Radicals. He gets the 10 yards. And for a 6'7" guy to get down this low, around the mark.
Splits.
Gibson, Joy, and Kittredge will all play offense. Final 8 seconds of this third quarter. Gibson to Kittredge to Joy. Sanchez to Kittredge. He needs to hurry. He throws a hammer. And it's incomplete. I think it might have been the receiver travel regardless. The Spiders led by 3 at the break, and Madison wins the third quarter. (8-6) Madison in these last 12 minutes. There's no other way to put it. This has been tons of fun, and we've still got 12 minutes on the clock for the right to face Toronto tomorrow. 18-17 San Jose after 3. We know you're not going anywhere. Stay with us.
Who are these clowns?
Our new hires.
Feels like we're just hiring people off the street.
We are. We're growing so fast. We need manpower.
At least CDW pre-configured these 2-on-1 devices with Intel inside for us.
There's a tablet when you want it and a laptop when you need it. Just take it already.
Fans getting their money's worth and then some with this great ultimate contest brewing. The fourth quarter coming up. Let's jump into these third quarter highlights. Back and forth, lots of great plays. San Jose led by as many as 4, and it looked like the Spiders were on the verge of breaking it open, and Madison Megan just would not let that happen.
I think a lot of credit, of course, goes to Tim DeBile for making necessary adjustments, but even more credit goes to the Radicals for pulling back, relaxing, and starting to play their game. But last quarter was probably the most exciting in terms of crazy throws from both teams. The Spiders really started to show off why they are known best out of the entire AUDL league for their offense.
Meshnik with a huge grab. This one over Calvo, who was inches away. Millimeters away, really.
Yeah.
That one handled by Thompson.
Yeah, Schleicher really coming alive in this last quarter. I think he had 3 scores under his belt when previously we hadn't seen much from him this game, aside from helping to generate offense underneath. And then, of course, another person who's worth highlighting this game, Mike Swain, showing us how strong of a defensive player he is.
We're going to look at this from both sides, and I'm going to ask you to fill in the blank for me.
It sounds like fun.
San Jose wins this game if blank.
If the Radicals continue to put on the zone.
Madison wins this game if blank.
They stop putting on the zone.
You really think San Jose has that zone figured out?
I do. They've been making very short work of it, and it just hasn't been nearly as effective as their man. They're generating more opportunities when they match up man.
Meagles has had her say. Fourth quarter underway here in Toronto. The Rush are avidly watching to see who their opponent will be at 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Good possession offense so far this trip. Smith thought better of the deep shot. He had Kearns, who looked open, thought better of it. Now Joy to Elbogen. Spiders by 2. Well, Madison didn't have the zone defense there, but San Jose shredded it anyway.
You know, I thought you might say something. The defense doesn't have to be 100% on their conversion rate. Rarely is it. But sure. I do think that they have been a little more effective on man. On top of that, the outcome of this game does not rely solely on Madison. I'm doing the Spiders a disservice by saying that it's strictly what zone or what defense the Radicals decide to put on. We need to continue to see the Spiders utilize the gauntlet of throws that they have open to them. It's just impossible to guard an offense where you can bomb it with a forehand, throw an amazing over the entire field hammer. Like, that's just, regardless of what defense the Radicals put on, they're just not going to be able to stop those kinds of throws.
Wiseman shoots it up line. Coolidge to the back of the end zone, and he put too much on it.
Do you think it looked like Tim Hart thought maybe he was approaching the end of the end zone? I thought he pulled back a little early.
It is a little confusing because the back of the end zone is not where the blue begins. 5 yards beyond where the blue begins. Kurt Gibson will call a timeout. The Spiders will talk it over and perhaps change the personnel after they get the turn. San Jose scored first here in the final quarter to double its lead. The Spiders 19, the Radicals 17, 10:43 to go.
Don't worry, I'll call you when I get there.
Mom's not gonna believe it.
Send her a picture. Are you seeing this?
Wow.
Great shot of the CN Tower here in the great city of Toronto, the most multicultural city in the world. The home team, the Rush, awaits the winner. The AUDL great for fans of all ages. We see the main 7 on offense for San Jose. Kurt Gibson, Ashlyn Joy, Kevin Smith, the 3 handlers. Eli Kearns, Bo Kittredge, Marcelo Sanchez, and Simon Higgins, the 4 cutters, although Kearns comes back to help handle. Into their own end zone. Kittredge downfield. Joy and Gibson playing catch.
They looked incredibly calm for being pushed so deep in their own end zone.
Gibson dropped the disc, but it was pried from his grasp by the defender illegally. Smith. Graffy in the area. Peter Graffy over Bo Kittredge. Graffy shaken up on this monstrous D.
Oh. He just couldn't quite get his feet underneath him as he was coming down on that landing. That probably...
Very intense landing on a great defensive play by Peter Graffy. The athletic trainers checking on him. You hope he's just out of breath. You hope he's all right. Just under 10 minutes to play. The Radicals will have the disc when we come back down by 2.
I missed my graduation. Asleep so we could drill. I missed anniversary, Father's Day, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day. I missed the playing place. I even missed my favorite anniversary. I missed a lot.
Peter Graffy being helped off the field here in Toronto. The backbone of the Madison defense. And ironically, it was one of the backbones that has him needing assistance to get off the field.
Certainly hope he's okay, and I'm sure the Radicals are really upset to see him come out. He's been quite a player in today's game and is going to continue to be, his level of D is going to continue to be very important in this match.
You wonder if Madison can get to the finish line here without Graffy, and if they do, and what's his availability for tomorrow against a great Toronto team where you need deep defending. Brian Hart replaced him, and Hart was fouled. Contact on Kevin Smith. Timeout call by Tim DeBile. He could not sub everybody on the injury, but after taking a glimpse of the initial offensive cutting, he will bring the O-line back in there to try to get within one. And we take a look at Graffy, who's on the trainer's table. Certainly some looks of concern in the eyes of the Radicals. You talked a lot about San Jose's offense versus Madison defense. What do the other sides have to do? The Madison offense and the San Jose defense, what are the keys for each that you're looking at in these final 10 minutes?
You know, I've been really fascinated with the way the Spiders are playing D. They're doing a great job of closing opportunities, or even baiting what looks like a throw and then taking it away at the very last second. It's really been stagnating the Radical offense, which I don't think I've seen much of this year in general. And then on the flip side, the Spiders defense, they have to continue that tight coverage of players like Annan and Brown so that they can't break open, so that they can't generate some easy flow for the Radicals.
Annan will trigger possession. Underneath quickly to Hart. Riggles was going deep off the restart. Nothing was there. Brown for Riggles. From the hash mark. The sun setting here in Toronto. Looking to the back of the end zone. Right on the money for Madison. Wiseman was open, and he read it perfectly.
Intelligent setup of the downfielders on that point in particular. They really kind of set up in a stack that was trailing horizontally. So opened up a little more opportunities on the break side, but still gave viable looks. I'm sorry, kept it open on the open side, but kept cuts on the break side very viable.
Well said, and we knew what you were saying.
Open on the open side is just awkward.
9 minutes on the clock. The difference just one as Madison pulls. I'd like to think that this is what all of the AUDL owners and the founding fathers of this league had in mind.
I absolutely agree. And I think if top players from each team continue to promote the sport as they do.
Elbogen wanted a call, none forthcoming. Credit Seth Meyer with the D as Madison looks for the tie.
To finish my point, I'm just impressed with how quickly the AUDL is growing in strength, both in terms of franchises as a whole and then individuals who are well-known, great athletes starting to step up and play on these professional teams.
Swain rises up to secure the air bounce. Adam Drews. Right back from Kevin Brown. Indeed by Marcelo Sanchez. But a call made on the Spiders. From the backside referee, the Spiders sideline. Cannot believe it. We'll check the replay when we get a moment. But first, the restart. For the tie. Contact again, called on Kittredge this time. And now the other referees will converse.
Yeah, there was definitely contact, but I think the opportunity to make a play on that disc had just passed before contact occurred.
Uncatchable, the referee decides. Saw the movement with a hand over the head. You saw it. They conversed. Well done. So the Spiders will get the disc. Missed opportunity for Madison. Deep in the end zone, more contact. Simon Higgins will advance 10 yards out of his own end zone. Kittredge from the middle of the host stack. Now Elbogen. Kearns. For Higgins. What a shot. Kearns to Higgins. Picture perfect.
It's incredible to think that just a few seconds ago, the Radicals had the disc on their own end zone. How quickly the Spiders were able to work it upfield.
And at a point when San Jose had more than one quibble with the refereeing, what do you think? That was the most controversial one, with Sanchez laying out against Meshnik. They called a foul there. There was certainly contact. Bo's reaction was pretty priceless, wasn't it?
He voiced his opinion pretty clearly.
Gorgeous sunset on what's turned into a beautiful day. Beautiful night here in Ontario.
I think at the beginning of this game, Evan, we were talking about possible rain contingencies if a storm passed through.
What we would do if we had a lightning delay. Was looking forward to your 3-song melody that you were preparing to sing for us.
No, I totally thought we were doing a duet.
One of us has to do the background, right? Hart over the top for Schreiweiss. Trying to thread the needle, and he beautifully done.
Wow.
To Annan.
Radicals undoubtedly ecstatic that Schreiweiss was able to play today. He has been really a driving force for them offensively.
There's no question about it. And Annan typically thought of as a handler. Schreiweiss typically thought of as a cutter. Reversing the roles this time. Inside out. A lot of velocity on that flick, but well timed with two guys that have played together for a long time. And look at that. Peter Graffi returning to the field to play defense here with his team down by 1, 6:16 to go.
Oh, the regenerative powers of a 23-year-old.
And he needed a lot of help to get off the field. Very surprised to see him return the way he is. Kevin Brown pulls. There was a violation called on San Jose in the aftermath of that. Madison pulled 10 yards beyond the front goal line. In their own end zone, Kevin Smith looking for Joy. Can he get there?
Wow.
Ashlyn Joy 15 yards ahead of anybody else. Flicking to space for Sanchez. Well done.
See, I think that is a beautiful example of how the top players on the Spiders have such good, not only field sense, but field vision. You saw him, saw the potential of that cut 3 seconds before it happened. He didn't need Sanchez to be in position at the time he threw. He just knew that that would put Sanchez in position.
You could see Joy looking. His Sanchez radar went off.
That is the definition of leading with a throw.
Spiders back up 2, past the midway point of the final quarter. Brown for Annan. Looking deep for Coolidge. Bacon defending. Coolidge can't make the catch, but contact was called.
Madison will have the disc. And no vociferous argument denying the call made by Tyler Bacon.
Yeah, that would have been a score without the contact.
And Coolidge gives it away. Miscommunication with his dump. San Jose resets. 5 minutes to go for the spot to face the rush tomorrow. Cohen. Bacon. Nice swing to Keoy. Gibson marked by Schreiweiss. Thompson feeds the middle for Cohen. 4:30 to go. The Spiders looking for a 3-goal lead. Gibson wants the low line drive hammer. It's a beauty. A huge turn of events as the Radicals inches away from getting back within 1. And now Madison down by 3 on this artistic hammer from Kurt Gibson.
You know, even if you know nothing about Ultimate, you have to know that that is an amazing throw.
About 45 yards, the disc never more than 6 feet off the ground. Maybe only 30 yards, but still.
You know, that was incredible, and watching that replay, I hadn't seen Brett Peterson streaking across the back of that end zone, calling very definitively for that throw.
We'd love to hear from you. Let us know where you are watching tonight's AUDL semifinal. At Evan Lepler, at Meagles 000 with a hashtag AUDL Final Four. Madison looking for the counter. The deep shot for Graffy, and he hits his man in the end zone. Amazing to see Graffy run a disc down like that after the landing he endured before, as he finds Kevin Brown for the score.
Yeah, Evan, I think both you and I thought that Peter Graffy was not coming back into the game after that.
Well, technically we're down to the final 3, but 4 minutes to go in this fourth quarter. You could call this the Final Four.
That's clever, Evan.
Blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. Brown to pull. Here's the undeniable fact. Madison needs to break San Jose twice. Can they do that in just a few possessions that are left in the game?
After Coolidge's near score and then the miscommunication that caused that turnover, I am starting to question whether or not there's enough time for them to do the work that needs to be done to win this game.
Sanchez to Kittredge. And once again, that point was about Kittredge drawing the attention of the defense. Everybody in white followed Bo, which left the hammer side wide open for Marcelo Sanchez.
Yeah, that seems to be a play in and of itself on the Spiders. You notice Sanchez had quite a bit of time to realize, oh, I'm not in. Turn around, look for yet another open Spider player.
Well, this is a Madison team that allowed about 15 scores a game all season. So they've allowed 23 today. Obviously, San Jose, the best of the best. Offensively, at least. But it looks like Madison's defense running out of gas and frustrated, and understandably so. Madison needs to score quickly. Schleicher for Brown. Annan from the hash marks. Thomas Coolidge directing traffic. His target slipped, but Schleicher, despite losing footing, able to hang on, and a foul called on Gibson. No, they called an offensive foul on Schleicher. They called it the other way. Brown keeps his balance barely. Forward for Hart. Looking to the end zone. Did he put too much on it? He did. Time running out on the Radicals.
Starting to look just a little bit frayed here as the game winds down. You know, just a few points ago, Evan, I would have said whoever walked away with the loss could attribute it to the one quarter where they were trying to figure things out against this new team. The Spiders lost, it was definitely, they lost it within the first quarter.
Timeout, San Jose. And the clock stops with just about 2 minutes to go. The Spiders can taste a trip to the finals in a matchup with Toronto. Madison perhaps with one or two last hopes when we come back to Toronto.
It's the company that wins at everything. A company so successful, it has basketball superstar Charles Barkley hanging out.
Actually, I work in IT.
A company so successful, it has Sir Charles sitting in the lap of luxury, while CDW configures the new, thinner, lighter HP EliteBook with the Intel Core i5 processors for him.
It's so true.
Two minutes on the clock. And the Spiders have the disc. Alongside Megan Tormey and our entire Fulcrum Media Group team, Evan Lepler, a privilege to be here for the AUDL semifinals. The championship game tomorrow on ESPN3 and streaming in Canada on TSN Go at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Gibson used his left hand to clear space, hit Kittredge with a right. Eli Kearns has had a really super steady game for the Spiders. Higgins, just an impossible cut to guard. Brown in his pocket, but Higgins forward for Elbogen, who wants Kearns. On the sideline, he can't quite get there. That disc will come in about 25 yards in front of the end zone because it never came back in. The clock still ticking, and now we're down to 1 minute left. Stop the clock with 57 seconds, and now they'll wind it. Madison needs to get one first. Kittredge looming, and it was defended by Joy. Pettit Scantling doing everything he can. Here's Higgins, who might well be the MVP of this game.
Yeah, he's been a huge target for the Spiders, and I think his greatest impact was at the beginning of the game when the Spiders were having just a little bit of trouble getting their game started.
Smith for Gibson. To Elbogen. Final seconds of the season for the Radicals. And Higgins up high could not make the play. But it will be the Spiders and the Rush on Championship Sunday here in Toronto. The Madison Radicals only lost 4 quarters all throughout the regular season. Madison won 2 of the quarters in this game, but the Spiders won the second, and they won it big 6-1. And the Spiders won the 4th. And that was enough. Madison got off to a sensational start, led 8-5. You can continue to go look back at the turning point play, the final seconds of that first quarter when Tyler Bacon intercepted with just seconds remaining and hit Elbogen in the end zone. And the final score, Madison falling to San Jose. The Spiders take it 23-20. This game in itself, a great representation of all that is good in Ultimate. Andrew Zill, the owner of the Spiders, reached out to Ashlyn Joy and Bo Kittredge and Kevin Smith and gave them a chance to craft their own team. And this is probably exactly what they all had in mind. as they're now just 48 minutes away potentially from a championship. And what a game tomorrow is going to be. The Spiders from the Bay Area, the hotbed of Ultimate, against the defending champions, the Toronto Rush, here in Toronto. And my, did the Rush look good today? And that's a big question. We talked about it with folks last week. How much would the winner of this game between San Jose and Madison have left for the championship game against perhaps a Toronto team that might have a little bit of an easier time in its semifinal? The Rush took care of New York. The Spiders squeaked past Madison. We're looking forward to the Spiders and the Rush tomorrow. We'll have downfield reaction with Megan Tormey in just a minute. The Spiders head into the finals here in Toronto.
Don't worry, I'll call you when I get there.
Mom's not gonna believe it.
Send her a picture. Are you seeing this?
Wow.
Present the MVP award of the game to number 4, Simon Higgins. Thank you so much, Mark. Simon, just a few questions. Talk to us a little bit about the overall sense or the overall feeling of the Spiders during that second half.
Well, the second half, we came out a little slow, but we started really picking it up towards the end of there. And our defense played lights out. That was awesome. They were really helping us out through that second half.
And then what have you learned from today that you hope to take into the finals tomorrow?
We got to play a lot tougher, really. Offense has got to convert a lot more and just play hard.
You know, this is the first time you guys have been challenged to the extent that you have, and you have to wake up tomorrow and play another really hard game. Do you guys have the legs? Do you have the energy to do it?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. Absolutely. We got 8 legs.
All right. Well, there you have it. Thank you so much, Simon. I appreciate it. Evan, back to you.
Megan, thanks so much. What a night it has been here in Toronto as the Spiders take care of business down the stretch after trailing by as many as 3 early. 23-20 is the final score. And now we look toward tomorrow. San Jose and Toronto. 2 teams with ridiculous talent up and down the rosters. What might the differences be? Well, we've got just a few hours to think about it, digest it, and then we get to see it. Before the hype can build, we'll get to see it for ourselves as the Spiders advance. The Bay Area Giant will take on the Toronto Rush at 1 o'clock tomorrow for the championship in the American Ultimate Disc League. And again, it's been a privilege to be here at Varsity Stadium today. The Rush taking down the New York Empire 31-16, and then in the championship in the second semifinal, 23-20, San Jose over Madison. On behalf of so many people who helped this broadcast come together, I get to say so long. For my broadcast partner, Megan Tormey, and on behalf of everybody with the Fulcrum Media Group team and with the AUDL, this is Evan Lepler saying good night for now. We're back with you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. San Jose and Toronto with the title on the line, and we will talk to you then. But for now, good night from Toronto.